Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto Anime review. This one's going to be for episode 267. So, we get this interesting sort of setup episode for what seems like the next one or couple of episodes. That is the school festival about to happen, and, Kawaki, Kei, Himawari's class are doing a play. It's a play about the three legendary Sannin, so of course we get a lot of our characters sort of like dressed up as either summoning animals or actual characters that we are familiar with. So there's some fun stuff with that, which I'll get to in a second. The more dramatic part of the episode is that AG suddenly decides that he really wants to pursue Kawaki over the idea that he's heard that Kawaki has a real shinobi headband. And this creates obviously some interesting scenes as the play rehearsals are going on. You get some kind of humorous scenes as he tries to expose Kawaki, but he ends up sort of messing up the play rehearsals. So that comes to an end in a reasonable character development arc for AG, even though it's nothing huge. Osaka gets some nice moments right at the end as she kind of comes in clutch in a kind of funny scene, which again I will get to. But I think the main focus of this probably is that they've finally decided to bring the main plot of this arc back into play. So we get a scene with sort of the two kind of political high-ups from Kei's nation. I don't know if we've seen them before, because again, I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between some of the stuff they told us at the very start of this arc and how many episodes it's been since they've ever even touched on some of this stuff. Other than Kawaki is guarding Kei, we haven't really seen much really happen in the grand scheme of things until I think the setup from the cliffhanger from last week and then what happens at the end of this episode. So the setup again is that it seems like Kei's father is about to announce her as the heir to her nation, but these two guys want Kei's brother to be the heir instead. The exact details behind that, I am not sure. I don't remember if we were ever really told a reason behind this or if that's what we're waiting to find out. But that's what they want. And so they want to get rid of Kei because of that. And so they've decided to activate these kind of agents, like assassins basically, that they have embedded in the Leaf Village. And they're kind of bragging about how they've infiltrated the village and no one knows about them. So I think that's either suggesting, I guess, that there is one or potentially multiple assassins, which I guess makes sense for something that if they want to do it right, they should probably get multiple people on board. So the end sequence of the episode is Kawaki rushes to Kei, who's just in the infirmary just because she was feeling sick, so she's asleep. Assassin comes in through the window. Kawaki comes in through the door. Fends this assassin off, they just immediately leave, and that's how the episode ends. Just get the idea of this masked assassin character. No super incredible hint as to who they are. The identity, I guess, is going to be somewhat important. I know quite a few people have been suspicious to a certain degree of the teacher, that the new teacher that they have, which I guess sort of makes sense, but it also feels like I don't know if we have really much of any evidence to really lean in that direction, especially after they did have that one episode that actually really leaned into the idea that she actually does care about them. So unless they're going to do some character development arc where she is the assassin, but she has actually learned to like this role and that's how this all gets resolved, I'm not really sure if that necessarily is the case or not, but I just thought I would mention it since it's, I think from very early on in the arc, people were like, there's the villain type thing straight away. So we have to wait and see what exactly the situation is. But again, the main plot is only really just beginning effectively at this point. We really don't know what the situation is. I forget if they even revealed what the name of what nation she's from actually is, because again, this is the sort of slight issue with this. I appreciate developing all these characters in this setting and not using a lot of the other characters, but they also gave us information towards the start of the arc that they haven't really sort of kept in our minds. They did something quite similar in the Fanato arc as well, and so the writing I think hasn't quite been particularly on par with regards to, telling us important information, and then it doesn't get brought up again for like 10 episodes. So I hope they kind of improve that. As for the rest of the episode, like I said, it was fun to see, Himawari is Minato, Osaka is Orochimaru, and she actually plays Orochimaru very well, because it's a very dramatic role. Kei is Tsunade. Eiji is Jiraiya, at least for the first section, until he starts to get super into trying to get the headband. And then Kawaki is actually playing Tsunade's summoning animal, the slug. So that was somewhat interesting. For the most part, like, they don't focus too much on, like, they establish that, like, Neon is doing, like, the stage stuff. One of the other characters is, like, throwing the smoke bombs down as they do the summoning jutsu sequence. So that'll be fun to see. I wonder how much of the actual play we'll see when they get around to it. There was one sort of interesting moment where Kei goes out and sort of reflects on the actual story that they're telling here, which of course is basically Orochimaru kind of becoming the villain, like leaving the village, and Tsunade and Jiraiya having to sort of stop him, kind of being unable to kind of do it. And the sort of kind of tragedy of that. So I'm wondering if that's kind of what's going to come into play here, where I'm guessing it's kind of Kei maybe will have a similar situation where it's people close to her maybe betraying her in some way. So thematically it feels like that might come into play. Otherwise, yeah, the setup is that Eiji has been given this kind of letter basically saying, be suspicious of Kawaki. He has a real headband. During the rehearsals, he tries to get it. And there's a dramatic point at which it feels like he's going to find the headband because it pops out. And because Kawaki's contained in the slug costume, he can't really, like, get it back. But then later on in the episode is revealed that Osaka actually kind of covered for him, because he helped to save her during the kidnapping episode last time out. So she actually comes so close to figuring out the full situation in that, like, okay, she realizes, oh, you are a shinobi, but you've been sort of sent back because of bad behavior. So leaning into this idea that everyone sort of thinks that Kawaki is this kind of hooligan character who's back in the academy for bad behavior, she just now seems to know that, oh, you actually became a shinobi, but you're being sent back here. So she doesn't get the full details here, but she actually does something nice for everyone in all of this. So that was nice to continue from the previous episode, that kind of continuity of she is now not the annoying character who is jealous of everyone. She's interacting with people a little bit better, in that it seems like they're maybe going to revert the character a little bit because she's annoyed, she wants to play Minato, but actually the more dramatic role that needs the best actress is probably Orochimaru, and so she actually fits that role really, really well. So she's working better with the rest of the class. Eiji gets the sort of moment where, like, he takes it too far in how he pursues the headband and actually destroys part of the set. Kei nearly gets killed. Like, Kawaki has to save, like, him and her from a falling beam from the ceiling. And there's an interesting point at which Kawaki has to be the one to sort of effectively scold him for this, but also big him back up to, like, help us rebuild this and we'll get through this. And so it's meant to be, I suppose, I assume for Eiji it'll be the episode where his rivalry with Kawaki is going to, for the most part, fade into the background, I would guess. And in the same way that Osaka has had her development and has changed because of it, I'm guessing it's going to be roughly the same with him. So I think an episode that actually, like, accomplished, quite a bit. I'm actually excited to see the plot once it gets going. It looks like we'll have at least a couple of scenes with, like, Boruto and the other characters, because again, it's a full, like, academy kind of school festival thing. So they're bringing kind of everyone around to this. I'm guessing it's going to build up to maybe an assassination attempt during the play, and it's going to be like, does Kawaki ruin the play to save the day, and how does he, like, manage all that? And then we'll see if it's like a two-parter or anything like that. Is this going to be the big finale of this? Will this be where all the reveals come out? Or will this just be an assassination attempt? And we'll go on for more episodes after this. Again, I don't tend to overly look ahead in terms of what the upcoming episodes really are. I haven't really heard anything about like us returning to manga content, so I'm assuming we're going to be in this arc for probably a couple more episodes before we jump into some other kind of anime original arc again ahead of the manga stuff returning. I still feel like the manga hasn't progressed enough to warrant really early jumping into it once again. Like, we really need to make some progress in the manga. So hopefully the upcoming chapter in, 2 days, will deliver. But it's been in a bit of a rough patch at the moment, the manga. So they're my thoughts on the episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were. Like I said, enjoyable, fun, but not the most consequential episode, but I appreciate the main plot beginning to come back into play. But what are your thoughts on it in the comments? Other than that, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.